So I just wanted to have a chat. I wanted to have a discussion about something that just happened. Now, we can't talk about the reasons too much because YouTube doesn't like talking about the word. But let's just say, because of global events right now with a certain virus, movie theaters have closed around the planet. Movies for the next month or two are being delayed heavily. Oh, by the way, this is Tara. I'm Peter, just in case that wasn't clear. So what I want to talk about is the fact that Universal started this off with putting out Invisible Man, The Hunt, and I think something else out in VOD. In fact, today of recording, because today's we're recording this on Friday night, and that was today. They put that out, $20 rentals for these movies that just came out. And you're probably thinking, well, I mean, that's not that big of a deal because they were technically already out in theaters, so they're just sort of trying to give it a quicker sort of lifespan on home video, whatever. But they also announced that their family film that's out like next week or the next 2 weeks is also going straight to VOD. Bloodshot from, I think, Sony is coming out of VOD next week.
Yeah, Trolls 2. Disney's putting out a bunch of stuff on their platform.
Yeah, Onward is coming out. I think to VOD first, then to Disney Plus a little bit later, but much quicker than it would have been otherwise.
I think like April 3rd or something.
Yeah, so like I don't necessarily want to talk about those movies individually, specifically. It's not really about that. And just today, there was not an announcement of any kind, but apparently Warner Brothers are seriously having talks about Wonder Woman 84 going straight to VOD. Not to, HBO.
That's a big one.
That is huge. And they're not talking about putting it on HBO, what's that called, Max, or they're not talking about putting it on a streaming service. Just VOD, just, straight to pay $20, whatever it is, and you can watch it.
Do you think they're using this as an experiment to dip their toes in the water of just eliminating like theater releases altogether?
I don't think intentionally, but I think with how long this is looking like it's going to last, and people are saying, oh, maybe we'll be back to normal by early summer, and more that feels like really naive because how everything keeps getting worse. So I think they're just kind of being forced to, and I think one of the weird things, and kind of what made me think about this question, is that one of the first things to start being cancelled was comic conventions and gaming conventions. And I heard someone say, the sad truth is that maybe this will make us realize how little we need a lot of them, that there's far too many of them, and basically
you can't get into anything anyway. I mean, I used to go to Comic-Con like years ago, and I once waited 4 hours to get into Hall H on a Saturday, which is the big one. That's where they do all the movies and stuff, the big movies that are coming out. 4 hours. And now, like, my sister goes and she has to wait, all day to get into a panel because the third panel from then is actually one she wants to see. So she has to watch the, like, Sesame Street panel in order to watch the What We Do in the Shadows panel, And so you get there and you wait in line, and it's a gamble of whether or not you'll get in to anything that you want to see, or you have to lose a day because you have to camp out overnight to get into something you want to see. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, but that's San Diego Comic-Con. That's the biggest one. But a lot of these other ones,
I'm sure that's going to spread. I mean, because a lot of companies and like film companies will go to, New York Comic-Con, Chicago, Wizard World, or whatever. And I think that's just going to get worse.
But that's the thing, though. They might not now. This actually might make them realize they're spending too much money on all these appearances. They don't really need to do it. And Comic-Con, I mean, New York's kind of become the second one. But, like, a lot of these other ones don't get a big movie presence. They get, like, some actors will show up and whatever, but they don't have the big panels like, San Diego Comic-Con does. They don't do those things. But E3's another one to go to the gaming convention side where, like, that was already on shaky...
Sony backed out last year.
Yeah,
I don't think they ever had any intention of going back.
That was already on shaky ground. And then this year, there's not having one because of all this going on. And to the point where a lot of the big companies might look at that and go, yeah, we don't really need this. We can just do straight to digital, like, videos, like Nintendo have been doing for a couple of years. Like, there's other options, right? And not everything's going to be like that, of course, but I think because the idea that the conventions from both the comics, because there's too many of them, the gaming ones, because they're kind of redundant, like, the idea that basically having a year where we see what it's like not having them and going, hey, this was actually okay, we can just not have them again, and it will save some money and save some effort and so on and so on.
Yeah, you know whose fault this really is? Nintendo. Because Nintendo Directs are so easy and fun, and everyone looks forward to them, and whenever they happen, they're like a magical experience. and it gets talked about, and all their games are promoted. And yeah, it's Nintendo's fault
and
for making such a good Direct.
But there's a huge problem with that, of course. And this is, I don't want to get into this because this is not what this video is about. But the problem with that though is that all the smaller publishers who aren't big enough to have their own things benefit from having the big hub at E3 where everyone comes and gets to see them as well. Like, you know, they're not everyone's first choice to go and see, but they get a lot of coverage because all the press and stuff go there and so on and so on.
But, hey, what if the movie theaters follow suit though? What if this is so successful for Wonder Woman that blockbusters go immediately to your VOD, because a lot of people don't want to pay, you know, for their whole family to go to the big movie. So they'll just pay the $20 to rent it. And then all like the smaller movies go to the movie theaters for people who want to go.
That's the question. That's what I'm getting at, is that what if this works? And then all of a sudden that question, because people have been saying for a couple of years that are movie theaters dying, or are they going away, are they redundant, blah, blah. What if this...
Not when you go to a Marvel premiere.
What if forcing them to go down this path shows enough people that they'd rather just do it this way? I guess the phrase to use is this the genie out the bottle, and can you put it back in? Maybe not. I that's what this conversation is supposed to be about, because like you say, like, it's weird I think, because I'm someone and you're someone, we both like going to movies on our own, so we're kind of in like this minority who just like going to see movies and it's not a big deal. So to us it is more expensive if a ticket's $20 or for a VOD's $20, right, for a movie. Like that's the price of Invisible Man in the Hunt, is it's $20 to rent for 2 days. But if you think about what a movie ticket costs, right, I think a movie ticket in dollars for me is like $12-13. If you're just two people who live together and going to the movies is $25+, and then but you know, you can just get it at home for $20.
You have to get popcorn and a drink, and maybe you snuck in some candy, but maybe you go and you get the fresh peanut M&Ms there.
Yeah, I never buy candy from the movie theater.
And all theaters now have alcohol.
Yeah,
that they serve.
At that point, it's like, okay, it's like, because 20 is actually a much lower price. And I remember when the idea was first posed a couple of years ago of doing like stay and date, like you can get a movie at home. The price was going to be something
like $50 or something.
It was going to be like 50. The idea being that if you were a whole family for a kids movie, like, you know, parents and like 2 or 3 kids, it's like, well, it'd still work out cheaper than going to the movies, but they don't want to lose too much money, so they would make it $50. 20 is a lot more reasonable. 20 is a lot more like, that's kind of the price where I can see people going, you know what, I'm willing to pay that for the new big AAA Marvel movie if you really care about it. Because one of the reasons why that movies still want movie theaters, or studios still want movie theaters, is that they make a lot of money off those movies for the big launches. You know, if movies went straight to what VOD prices are, 6 months later, movies would make a lot less money. They would make a shit ton less money. So having like this idea of like, no, that first couple of months is like a $20-30 VOD. And then after that, it goes down in price to what you think of a VOD rental to be, which is what, $5, $4, whatever.
Yeah, and then you can purchase to own it when it comes out for like the $20 again.
Yeah, I guess the weird thing there though is that there's like a blurry line of like, okay, when does that difference happen? Is like a strict 3-month thing or 4-month thing?
Probably be the same as the movie theaters, around 4 months.
Because it would still be the same thing that happens now, where some people are willing to wait for the home video. It would be the same thing, right? It's like you either pay...
Or if something just keeps making money, like why would they not just not release it and keep it as a rental? You know, some movies you can't predict. They'll just get word of mouth. And they kept Parasite as a rental for a year, like for $20, people would probably buy it just because it's such a slow word of mouth spread about that film.
I don't think they would. I think there's a shelf life on the price when it goes, because I think it's kind of like video games, and this is one of the reasons why I think Nintendo, if you don't love Nintendo, it's really hard to even want to try Nintendo, because their prices never go down. And one of the things that happen with other games is that, okay, it's full price when it comes out, but then if you're not really that caring about it, you can wait and you'll try it when it's a cheaper price, right? But like movies, I feel like kind of the same thing.
Not so much in digital form.
No, it's still in digital form because people wait for sale. I wait for sales. If I don't buy a game the first week it's out, I will never pay full price for it later.
Still, if you go to a store, like it's going to go on sale cheaper or more fast, and you can get a lower price quicker before you can on the digital sales. Like you could still buy Assassin's Creed Odyssey or whatever the last one was for $60.
Yeah, but
on digital.
But physical's not an argument in this discussion though, right? Because physical has nothing to do with rent and VOD. Like that's a separate thing. completely.
No, but like it it means you have to go out. You're paying for the convenience, and people are willing to pay more when it's convenient, when they don't have to go out and find a copy of it.
I don't know. There's a two-sided argument to that. This is getting into a whole other debate about physical versus digital, where physical should cost more because it's higher quality. Digital shouldn't cost more because it's more convenient. But that's just a different of belief, I suppose, because digital looks worse than physical copies every time.
No, I agree.
So physical should cost more because it's higher quality, but you're paying for the bit rate. But that's a whole like other avenue you could go down. But like, I think the idea of like having like a higher price, because I do think that everyone who's willing to pay $20 for a rental for that first like week or 2 weeks when it's like hot and everyone's talking about it and it's the big new release, I feel like there is a curve where after a couple of weeks, if you've not got it already, you're probably willing to wait until it goes down to $5, right? You're probably willing to wait that couple of months when it's cheaper. So I guess there's maybe this thing of like, you know, for movie studios finding where that curve is and when is it stop being profitable and when is it just turning people away because it's too expensive. But if you keep shortening that window, then it makes it more tempting to wait. So you have to kind of have that perfect mix. It's almost the gambling thing of like you want people to be tempted to keep going for the new thing. So
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's also what movie theaters have been trying to do over the last few years anyways. Like, I don't know what your movie theaters are like, but here, like every single one of them has reclining seats. They have like a tray that comes out for your food. Some of them have heat warmers now. So there's less seats and the tickets have gone up in price, but you're paying for like every seat now is good. Like you don't have to worry about if you have the front row. It's not a big deal.
it's kind of a mix. It's kind of a mix of what you just said, in the sense that the price already went up before anything happened, so the price is kind of unaffected. It was already absurdly expensive, but they have been.
Well, movie theaters are already struggling to get people into seats, and there is a theater here that has something called like a Twilight Hour, and tickets are $6 at like 4 o'clock.
Well, hold on, but let me. So the prices have already went up before anything else happened, but they have been slowly putting in recliners. Although there's been no fancy trays or leg warmers or anything like that. That's not been a thing.
Yeah,
But
my theater here, the AMC that's near me, just put in heated seats. It's awesome.
yeah, so there's been nothing like that, but they have been making an effort, multiple chains to put in recliners because, you know, they have to do something to make it more attractive to go, basically. And I'm someone who just cares about movies, so I'd keep going anyway to a point. That said, though, I have to ask myself, like, how do I feel like if I have the option of like going to a theater or just staying at home and watching it, like, if both options are there day one, like, what am I going to take? And you know, what's the incentive?
Some movies I really like a crowd. Like a lot of people tell me like they don't understand why I would do first showings of a movie, or like I used to do a lot of the midnight premieres, but they don't really do midnight premieres anymore. They're always on at like 7 o'clock now, on the Thursday night. But you know, a lot of people say I'm going to wait until the crowds are not there so I can enjoy the movie. I'm like, no, you go with a crowd. Everyone's excited to be there to see the continuation or to see what's going to happen. And you want to be there with fans. Like, I like the energy of a crowd still for some movies. For obviously the big blockbuster action movies, horror movies are great for a crowd. Comedies are always funnier in a crowd. Like that still appeals to me.
Oh, I don't know about horror movies. I find that if I have more than a couple of people at a horror movie, there's always at least someone who's a dick, and I hate they ruin my experience because they have to like laugh at things that aren't funny and things like
Luckily,
that.
I live in America and no one here is an asshole. So.
Oh,
No, seriously, like when I watch a horror movie with a crowd, like people, when it gets tense, people like tense up and sounds. I don't know. I mean, unless you have like a teenager there.
yeah, teenagers
Like
are the
a
worst.
crowded, a group of teenagers. They're always. That's universal any country.
Yeah, teenagers are the worst in horror movies. Well, in any movie, but especially horror movies. Honestly, the weird thing that you're telling me here about like, oh, some movies it's better with a big crowd. Honestly, here crowds are silent for movies. People don't cheer at movies, so the crowd is irrelevant. The crowd is a nothing factor for most movies.
Yeah, but there still might be some reactions that are more effective with a crowd. Like jokes are, you know, Nobody laughs at a joke in
No,
the
people
movie
laugh.
theater.
No, people laugh. That is the only reaction that anything gets is laughter. But people don't cheer in movies here. They just
Yeah.
don't. It's never been a thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, going to, the next Star Wars movie, the next Marvel film, like you, I do like going with people who are just, we all waited till the very, like, the first second that you can order a ticket, to get there. We're all happy that we got the first, showing. We're all fans, anyone who's there for the first showing of a Marvel film, we're all fans. And yeah, you get some cheers because you know who you're in company with. That goes away after like a week, but or certainly after that first day.
Yeah, I mean, it's because I don't want movie theaters to die. I don't want them to go away, right?
I don't know.
But it does kind of feel like a weird inevitability. I think obviously there is something about the big screen. There's something about the sound system that obviously you can have surround sound at home, but it's not the same as having the movie theater sound, right?
No.
That makes some sense. But I do genuinely work because one of the reasons why physical media is kind of a niche thing now and streaming has taken it off so much is because of one word. It's oh god, the word just slipped my brain. Convenience. It's convenience. Yes.
Oh.
Right. Convenience wins out every time. It doesn't matter if the other thing's better quality because it is. A physical Blu-ray is night and day better than streaming in 1080p. It just is. The bit rate is not comparable, but streaming still wins because people, at their core, are kind of lazy, and if there's a really easy option, then they'll take that option. So my worry here is that because we get people used to the idea of these big new movies. So let's say this happens. Let's say Wonder Woman 84 goes to VOD. It's $20, $25, whatever it is, to rent when it comes out. And let's say this works and it makes just as much money for the studio for opening weekend, say. Are they then tempted to follow that model going forward? Are they tempted to sort of dabble in that again because, oh, hey, this worked for the big movie?
Maybe. I just hate seeing everything go away. Like, I still like having a reason to leave the house. I still go to the mall on the weekend when I'm bored and just walk around and hope that I find something. I'll get a call from my mom. She's like, "What are you doing today?" I'm like, "I don't know. Maybe I'll go to a movie." And she'll say, "Yeah, I need to get out of the house. Let's go to the movies." And it wouldn't be the same. It would be like, "Hey, I want to see Invisible Man. Can I come over to your place and we can watch it?" It would, rather than like, let's, put on non-pajama clothes and fix yourselves up and go to the movies and get some popcorn and wine and have an experience.
And for the record, much like physical media, much like comic books or whatever, I don't think theaters will ever completely go away. But I do.
No, I don't think so either.
I do think there's a chance though that it will become more of a niche thing than that is the main format of which everyone consumes movies. It'll be something that we do because we love movies, but it won't be something that everyone has to like. I could totally see a future where there's no movies that are like theater exclusive. I mean, maybe Christopher Nolan movies because he hates the idea of not having a theater presentation. But I can definitely see a future where
James Cameron.
Yeah, James Cameron's maybe another one. Other directors who insist it must be in the theater.
Or if there's like a new format to to make movies, like you want to experience that in the theater, like when James Cameron brought us 3D films or not brought us, but like brought it back. And that was a really great experience. And that's not something he could have given us if it was just a VOD release.
No, totally. But I think it's just interesting talking about it because this is a shift. Like them doing this with these big high profile movies, and Wonder Woman would be huge. If they do that with Wonder Woman, which is the big comic book movie.
I don't think I would rent it. Like, to be honest, like if it gets released in only on streaming services, like I don't think I would rent it. I think I would just wait for it to be free somewhere if I'm going to watch it on my TV anyway. But I'll go see it in the theater, like, because what else am I going to do? Am I just going to get out of the house to go eat at a restaurant? Is that the only reason I'm leaving my house now? That sucks. I want to have something to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's not really a concern right now because everywhere is saying no, don't leave your house. But
yeah, I know. But like, I just don't want I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose that too. I guess there was this little theater in the last place I lived in, which was Richmond, Virginia. When I first moved there was this tiny little theater. It was a Regal theater, which is a popular chain here, but it was only two screens, and it was a really old theater. Like you walk in and you go up. There's one theater downstairs, and you walk upstairs, and there's a tiny theater upstairs, and the seats were super narrow. They're not meant for Americans today. Like it was just a really old vintage theater, and they only ever played like just really hard to find like festival films, you know. Like I went and saw my name is Doris. There was the last movie I saw before it got closed down, and it was a really nice experience to just find a theater that would show these types of films that didn't get played in other theaters, because they wouldn't make any money.
But hell, I would love that, but I don't have the option.
Yeah. And this was an option, and it was just full of senior citizens mostly.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of ladies with perms in that theater, but it did, it did well enough. Like every time I went, it was not sold out, but like it was pretty full. It was just this really cute little theater, and it wasn't, even though other theaters were starting to get reclining chairs and stuff, you can tell this theater was just maintained the way that it was built for a long time. They didn't have to like pander, to try to get, but it did end up closing down. I assume because first it was bought out by Regal, and Regal's like, why are we keeping this open? It's only two screens. Nobody goes here. There's four other Regal theaters in Richmond, Virginia. Let's just close it now. And it sucked because those movies were now I had to rent them.
I will say this though, if the theater that's close to me shut down because the theaters, stopped making money or as much money, so there's less of them, the choice then would be either travel over an hour to get to a theater or rent it at home. I'm almost always going to choose rent it at home at that point. Right now, I can get to a theater pretty quickly, so the choice is actually quite, even, and I can sort of weigh up why I'd want to go to the theater for certain movies or not. But if I can't go easily to a theater, if it becomes like a chore to get to the theater, then that's something else. That's a whole other debate. So the point I'm making there is that if shifting more to VOD or streaming these movies means that half the theaters close, then that actually might drive a lot of the population who wouldn't pick the streaming option to have to pick the streaming option, because it's unfeasible then for them to go to the theater depending on where they live. Yeah. So that could be a potential kind of like knock-on effect from movie studios doing this. They might not. Maybe this will be like a quick thing and they'll just go back to normal afterwards. But I mean, if Universal
maybe people will be so desperate to get outside
that's true,
and do something that there'll be a huge outpouring and everyone will go to their local theater and
but if Universal
buy a large popcorn,
makes a ton of money today,
not sneaking candy,
or this weekend because Invisible Man's available to see this way, if they make a lot of money from it, then maybe they go, hey, maybe these horror movies work better if we do it this way. $20 rental when they come out instead.
Yeah, that sucks.
One of the reasons why they might not do it though, there's actually one really compelling reason why they wouldn't, is that piracy is a big issue when something's released to a streaming service or a VOD service, is that it's easy for pirates to have like a perfect copy, if you will, to release, whereas you can't do that when it's just in the theaters. So there is actually that one big reason why they'd still be heavily tempted to go back to the theater model and stick with that for a while.
Yeah, that's true. That might be enough. Like
it might be, yeah.
Yeah, because if you want to get a digital copy of something that's released in theaters day one, you have to get a copy of somebody who's filmed it in the theater.
Yeah, you have to get the heads.
For the most part.
You have to get the head. Yeah. It's basically Mystery Science Theater, but without the jokes.
Or people like walking across.
See, I've never.
You have somebody shouting next to you, like, shut up.
I've never caught anyone doing it in a theater, but if I did, if I saw someone behind me doing it, I'd maybe start doing like Mystery Science Theater, like hand motions or something, just so that whoever's watching this later on the internet can get the full experience.
Mm-hmm.
I'll dub in some jokes later if you want.
Definitely.
Well, that could be something.
Yeah, screw those guys.
Yeah, screw them. So, yeah, I feel like this crisis in the world is going to force a lot of like perspectives on a lot of things to change a little bit, and movies are one of those things that could alter. Of course,
Yeah.
the issue is as well that of course they've shut down production on stuff right now, meaning that we might have a drought of movies later. Once all the stuff that's been
So movie theaters won't have a chance to recover.
yeah, they won't have any movies to show when we come back. But then again, like you say though, there might actually be kind of an influx because everyone's dying to go to a theater again. So maybe theaters and bars and things will all make tons of money
Yeah.
when everything opens again. But
And you know, one thing that my family likes to do is, we had tickets this past weekend that, of course, were, canceled to go see The Hunt for Red October in the movie theater, because a lot of theaters will do special events and special screenings, and they'll just put on older films that are, people missed or want to see on the big screen again. And, maybe there'll be more of those just to have some variety, bring
Yeah,
back
maybe.
anniversary editions and.
I think stuff like double features and like theme nights and things like that are a good way to maybe at least get the film fans in. It may not attract newbies, but I think for people like us, it's like, oh hey, there's like a zombie triple feature one night for like $10. Yeah, I'll go see that. I'll hang out.
Yeah, put Jaws in the theater. I'll go see Jaws.
I'll go watch a bunch of zombie movies back to back. So there's things they can do, but I could see it becoming more of a niche thing, unfortunately. Maybe too early to call this now, though. This may not be the change that does this. This still may take another decade or two, but this
Maybe.
crisis could
This
propel
might
it.
bring in a lot more of those like movie passes, so
It might,
to
yeah.
get people to come back again.
Which I don't think is a bad thing necessarily. I think I used to have a subscription like that where I could go see as much as I wanted for a monthly price, and I did love it. I used it all the time because I had access, and it was like this. It was financially very viable to like, oh, I'll pay $20 a month and I'll go see as much as I want. Like,
Yeah, yeah. We have that here for Regal and AMC have some kind of pass, but to be honest, there's so many movie theaters here that I never know which one I'm going to go to. So I haven't purchased a pass because what if people want to go see the 4:30 show at the AMC and I have the Regal one, like, or there's like four different movie theaters in my town. So
mm,
I'm sure some of them might have to close some doors after all this, but
they might. It's very possible. I mean, it depends how much government help some of these companies get, and if the gap's too long, if they get some grants or whatever to keep them going or whatever they end up doing.
Yeah.
But
I went to the theaters on the last weekend. What was the last movie I saw? Oh, I went and saw Call of the Wild. Because Regal gave me a free popcorn because they're afraid that no one was going to the movies. So I went and got my free popcorn and watched Call of the Wild.
well, no one's going
And
this
that would
weekend
be my last movie at a movie theater.
for possibly months.
Yeah.
I know it's weird. It's a weird
Actually, the
time.
movie's pretty good. It got a lot of hate, but I really liked it. Recommend.
Okay. I'll put the title.
And
of
everyone watch Onward because that should have done a lot better than it did. That was a really great film.
it just hit at the exact wrong time for this crisis.
Yeah, I know.
It was just at the wrong time. So there you go. That's basically our discussion on like what may happen because of this. Because this is kind of unprecedented. We're in kind of untraveled
Uncharted
waters.
territory?
Uncharted territory. That's,
Yeah.
Thank you. I was going to say I tried to say uncharted waters, not territory, but same difference. So. Yeah, tell us in the comments what you think might happen. If you think this will change anything, if you think enough people who'll like this model enough that they'll just not want to go to theaters anymore after the gap. Because as much as some people like us obviously like going to the theaters, some people will be like, no, I'd rather just watch movies at home. We'll see.
I get cabin fever.
Well, yeah, but maybe
I gotta get out of here.
yeah, but maybe the people who hate going to the theater and rather watch stuff at home, maybe they do lots of other things out. Maybe they're really social in other ways. Which is why they don't see movies as that.
Oh,
part
you
of
mean
their
like
life.
clubs? Gross.
I don't know.
Bars?
Whatever people do that aren't nerds.
People who dance?
Yeah, I don't dance. That's not my thing.
I dance at weddings because there's usually an open bar.
Good to know. That's been our discussion. Thank you very much, guys. If you want to support everything we do here on MailFuzz TV, you can head over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. Give us a little as $1 per month and get some bonuses for your trouble, bonus outtakes, bonus episodes of some of our movie podcasts, including the science fiction movie podcast that me and Tara do. So if you like us two as a pair, you can go see that. And we do a movie every week and talk about stuff. And we got a theme month. We got a bunch of extra episodes and April, all these 70s movies, because we're doing 70s month. So
70 sci-fi. Pew pew pew.
So I look forward to that. But thank you very much for joining us. Let us know what you thought, what your thoughts are, and all this stuff in the comments. But thank you once again. Keep watching movies, guys. And if you can get it, it's always nice to have diplomatic immunity.